What's good, everybody? It's your brother Mad Black, the most dangerous and the most toxic black man on the internet. And I am black up in your face again with some more pro black commentary. So, I actually tried to think of a joke intro for this particular video, but the truth of the matter is, the biggest joke are the white people who are preaching this black fatigue nonsense and the buck dancing buffoons who are parroting it. So if you are not aware, there is something out there that is being pushed on social media by white people called black fatigue, where basically they're saying they're tired of black people. And not just black people in particular, but they're tired of black people in that they're tired of us complaining. They're tired of us blaming white people for things, and they're just sick of it. Basically, that's what they're saying out there. And once again, you got some of these black negroid buffoons parroting this nonsense. Some of your favorite black conservatives like Anton Daniels and Stephen Knight and others are out here basically regurgitating the same nonsense and replaying a lot of these white videos on their social media. So I wanted to talk about it and kind of give my 2 cents on this whole black fatigue thing, which is, in my honest opinion, I think most of it is a psyop. But I want to give my opinions on it. We'll pretend that this is something that is actually coming from, I guess some real feeling of frustration from white people. We'll pretend like that is the truth, and that this is not something that is being programmed into them. And we'll talk about what this black fatigue is. So let me start off by saying this, and this is probably the most important part of this entire conversation. White people won this last election. White supremacy won during this last election. Now, truth be told, white supremacy wins every election, but I'm talking about complete overt racist white supremacy and bigoted white supremacy won during this last election of Donald Trump. White people have literally gotten everything that they asked for, everything that they could have ever wanted in a leader and a president and in someone that speaks to them and speaks to their wants and their needs. They got it with Donald Trump. And not only Donald Trump, but his cadre of criminals and his rogues gallery that he calls his cabinet. And they're literally doing everything that white people wanted them to do. They're quote unquote fixing the budget by firing a bunch of people. They're giving money to a lot of these corporate overlords who I guess, white people wanted that because that's what they voted for. They're getting rid of a lot of these immigrants, and they're speaking up for the rights of white supremacy by, getting rid of all this quote unquote DEI hiring and affirmative action and all this stuff, right? So, once again, white people got everything they could have ever asked for in this last election. And still, they're not happy and they're mad at black people. So, right then and there, this should show you who has the true victim mentality. When you literally get everything you asked for and still you have a problem, you're still complaining, you're still whining, and you still think someone is taking something away from you, this shows you that these are the people that have a victim mentality. They don't take responsibility for any of their actions or their failings in society. They actually don't care about fairness. If they really cared about fairness and merit, they wouldn't be so bitchy right now because they're literally getting everything they could have ever wanted and asked for, but they're still upset with another group. And really, they're just nosy as hell, and they have shown that they are every bad thing that they say about black people as a whole, as a community, that's projection. They're projecting their inadequacies and their feelings about themselves onto us. Because I gotta tell you, when I hear this whole nonsense that they're tired of black people or what black people are doing or what black people are saying. First and foremost, black people are not thinking about white folks at this point. All right. For the most part, black people are doing their own thing. They even a lot of the ridiculous buck dancing minstrels on the liberal side, they realize that their side lost, right? And they have just decided to coalesce amongst themselves for the most part. For the most part. Now, I understand there's still some of them that are programmed to be out there and buck dancing for whatever liberal cause that Democrats have told them to do, like whether it be immigration or whether it be LGBT or what have you, right? However, for the most part, most black people are just saying, you know what? This is what America is. This is what America wants. We're just going to be over here coalescing amongst ourselves and keeping ourselves going, right? And if there is any black people out there bringing up some of the issues that they have with white people, it is well deserved. It is well deserved. You literally just had a white man get off for choking a black man to death on a train. Daniel Penny. Daniel Penny got off for murdering a black man in broad daylight on the train and got away with murder, basically, right? And you have not only white people on social media, but you had the president of the United States and the vice president supporting this murder, right? And white people as a whole in the mainstream media supporting this murderer. So I guess black people are just supposed to be quiet and not say anything. And I think that is part of their quote unquote black fatigue, is that black people say anything other than, yes, sir, give me more ass whooping, they have a problem with that. Now, you also just had a situation where a white boy got into a fight with a black boy at a cross country rally, and the black boy defended himself and wound up killing this white male. And for white people, that whole situation bothered them because they could not immediately lynch this young black man. They could not just run to his house or run to the courthouse or the jail where he's being held, drag him out there and lynch him and burn him and castrate him and everything they used to do back in the day. They couldn't do that. So that's also part of their black frustration. And also the fact that black people had any resources, any money at all, to give to this young black male and his family after this boy was released. And the fact that there was a black female judge that gave this young man bail and bond so he could get out, that fucked with them. That fucked with white people on a very subconscious level. The fact that they could not lynch this young black man, that's their black fatigue. Okay? So, when this whole situation came up with the bigot bust down Becky, Shiloh Hendricks, and when, she saw a black kid take something away from her child at the playground, or what she alleges anyway, right? And she called this little black child, a 5-year-old black child, the N-word. White people came out in droves to support this lady because they felt like she is the spearhead of what they all want to do. They all want the ability to be able to attack black people with no consequences. They want the ability to be able to cuss out black people and black kids and call black kids whatever they want in public, right? And you've had a lot of these white influencers get online, like Tim Pool or whatever, and say that they don't like the fact that, I guess, black people can use the N-word or whatever, that old nonsense, as if they gave up using the N-word. I hate that whole debate as to where they make it seem like black people are the only people on earth who use the N-word and don't get in trouble, as if white people stopped using it. Okay, I've still been called the N-word, and I grew up all through the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and everything else. I've still been called that. So that word has not disappeared anywhere. Okay, but they have a problem with the fact that if they want to use that word, that they can get in trouble for it. And they don't like that because they felt like they invented the word. They invented it to degrade black people and to dehumanize black people. And the fact that there are black people out there that use the word and nothing bad happens to them, is they're not getting a negative effect from it. That fucks with them on a psychological and spiritual level. Okay? When you invent something to destroy someone and destroy their spirit and destroy their mind and make them think that they're subhuman and a monster, and those people are not being hurt by that, and not only that, these people are using that to their advantage, and you get hurt by this word, that fucks with them 100%. Okay, so like I said, that's their black fatigue. The fact that they feel that even though they got everything they wanted, they're getting everything that they asked for, and they can basically do anything they want, they're still upset that black people are still getting a little bit, right? The fact that any black person can do anything or say anything and get a little bit over, that bothers them on a very subconscious level. And the reason it bothers them is because they realize fundamentally that this country was discovered on a racial hierarchy, and that this country is based on that, is based in that. Racism is just as much a part of this country as apple pie. In fact, it's more a part of America than apple pie. The foundation of America is racism. So that's why I never understand when people think they live in a quote post-racial era, or we're somehow going to get past it. If racism disappeared, America is going to disappear. America itself is going to crumble, because that is its base, is racism. And it's never going anywhere. So anyone trying to get rid of it or thinking that they're going to move past it or whatever is delusional at best. So now they got a bunch of white people out there claiming that they're just fatigued and tired of black people. And while I don't pretend to be a spokesperson for all Black America or to be a spokesperson for all black people or the black community, I will tell you that for the white people out there that feel like they're fatigued with black people, or you're tired of black people, I don't give a damn. I don't care if you're tired of us. I don't give a shit if you're mad or you're upset or you feel you're being treated unfairly. Okay, that's what I had to say about that. We don't care that you're so butthurt and upset. Deal with it. Okay, black people have had to deal with being sad, being upset, and being disappointed in this country forever. Okay, and we've had to deal with it a lot longer and a lot more often than you do. Deal with it. That comes with being part of this great American experiment that you claim is so powerful and so amazing. And if your only disappointment is that you quote unquote feel some black fatigue, well, I don't know. Go out there and go get some mimosas and go buy some khakis and live in white suburbia and be happy. Okay? It amazes me that you have a group of people and white people that literally don't even have to deal with black people. We still basically live in complete segregation, and there are white people that basically don't have to see or hear anything from black people. They can turn to a radio station, not hear a black person. They can watch a TV channel, not see a black person, and still they get upset with black people. You don't live around black people. You don't really interact with them on a daily basis, but you're upset with black people just because, right? And like I said, part of that is the psyop. And it's always interesting to me when, you have these people, especially conservatives, they always say that, hey, you black people are being manipulated to hate white people by these Democrats and these liberals. But at no point do you actually sit down and think that you're conservatives, that you're being manipulated by these conservatives and these Republicans to hate black people. That's basically what these fools do. And like I said, You have no interaction with black people for the most part. Even in poor white areas, you have no interaction with black people. There's still poor white sections in this country where there's no black people whatsoever. But your conservative and your Republican politicians, they use black people as a scapegoat for what's going on in your area, and they have you so hyper focused on what's going on with black people that you automatically just point the finger at black people and say that there's something wrong with them, or I hate you, or whatever, right? And it's so to the point where if all the black people in the world disappeared tomorrow, white people would have a complete meltdown about that. Because, like I said, we could be doing our own thing and not bothering them, and they'll be outside the door knocking to see what we're doing, or peeking in the window to see what we're up to or what we're talking about, right? We could be completely away from them and completely segregated, and still they'll want to come over and see what are those black folks doing? What are those N-words doing over there, right? So that's what I'm saying. It's like they still have a very unhealthy obsession with us, just as much as a lot of black people have an unhealthy obsession with white folks. And as far as a lot of these coons go, like I said, Anton Daniels and Stephen Knight and some of these other black conservatives with their hats on, their MAGA hats and everything. Well, a lot of them don't wear the MAGA hat anymore because that's embarrassing. But you know what I mean? Like, a lot of these fools were Trump supporters and whatnot. But I've seen so many of them get on social media nowadays and say, "Well, yeah, I'm sick of black people too," right? Or they're agreeing with a lot of these white people about the whole black fatigue thing, and it's sad. It's sad to see some of these Negroes basically just go ahead and regurgitate and parrot what they hear from their white mommy and white daddy, where these Negroes, I mean, that's all these Negroes do anyway, is just whatever is going on in white society, these Negroes want to be such a part of it that they'll even be a guard dog and a barking dog for their white master. It's like when I see white people in my area, when I see them walking their dog and their dog will just start barking at another dog. You know what I'm saying? It's like that's what it is with these Negroes. That's who Anton Daniels is. He's a barking dog for white supremacy. His white paymasters on Fox News or whoever, whatever think tank pays him, told him to get out there and preach this whole black fatigue nonsense. Okay? So, of course, he's going to go out there and do that if he wants a spot on the next, Fox News airing, right? And, of course, you got, once he did that, you have a lot of his, little coonites who want to come out there and they want that spot that he has. They're going to go out there and they'll repeat the same type of nonsense for these white folks, where they make it seem as if they're just so tired of black folks, right? I'm surprised Anton Daniels has not done another video with Charleston White where they're out here trying to save white people. I talked about him and I talked about Stephen Knight before of Night Talks, how they both put on their capes to come out and do their best to save white society, right? So, white society has everything going for it. It literally has gotten everything that they asked for. And not only have they got what they asked for, they literally have Negroes on their side acting as guard dogs and being their protectors from the other black folks out there. So you black folks can let me know what you think about this in the comments section. I would love to hear your opinions on this so-called black fatigue. Anyway, mad black, and I will be back with my foot on the devil's back.